Season 2 of White Lotus will focus on a new group of vacationers, and they are the best characters the show has seen so far. New hotel staff, locals, and wealthy vacationers are introduced by Sicily, and their lives intertwine with the same comedic and dramatic flair we've become accustomed to with this show. Stay with us as we look at the best new characters in Season 2 of The White Lotus. First up, Cameron Sullivan. Up to now, most of The White Lotus's characters have been based on familiar tropes: the dirty old man, the cheating husband, or the clueless millennial. You get the gist. Some of the characters were better rendered than others. From the start of Season 2, Sicily paints Theo James's Cameron Sullivan in a rather villainous light. He's entitled and he has a lot of money. Too bad if he makes people uncomfortable. The only thing that is important to him is that he remains satisfied. Cameron has screaming matches with service workers, dares to expose himself to someone's wife, and degrades his own wife in public. He also prompts his friend to engage in insider trading and uses the services of sex workers. So it's really not difficult to portray him in an unsympathetic light. The downside is that it makes the character feel a little cartoonish at times. But James deserves kudos. He does the best he can with the material he's given. Then, Dominic Di Grasso is the middle generation of the Di Grasso family, and they are problematic to say the least. Dominic is representative of a pernicious form of entitlement and misogyny, which became apparent in the post-Me Too era. Dominic is one of the Hollywood higher-ups, and he is addicted to sex. This has thrown his marriage into shambles. He's quite blatant about his proclivities, but shows no sign of accepting responsibility. He is shameless, guiltless, and has no use for repentance. In fact, he indulges further in debauchery while vacationing with his son and father. Dominic hasn't featured much so far, but he is one of the characters that have a high likelihood of snapping. Mia, the singer, has an interesting character arc that seems to be waiting in the wings. Stay with us. That's coming up in a moment. Then, Bert Di Grasso. This is the Di Grasso patriarch, and F. Murray Abraham shines in the role. He represents a form of misogyny from a bygone era. His chauvinistic opinions and beliefs are openly on display, and he encourages both his son and grandson to get on with sowing their wild oats. The only precondition? Be discreet about their indiscretions. This man is lecherous. He attempts to flirt with every young woman that crosses his path, regardless of his ongoing struggle with his faculties. There's something distinctly funny about the character, especially the way F. Murray Abraham plays him because he's so incredibly dirty-minded. Will Sharp plays Ethan Spiller, and he does it really well. This is a slow-building character arc and storyline, but indications are already there that the character is heading for a profound downward spiral. He's been reasonably level-headed by comparison to Cameron, but he's struggling to come to terms with his newfound wealth and still figuring out what that means for his life. His relationship with his wife is probably the most interesting thing about this character. They talk about anything under the sun, but there's no shared chemistry there, and it's clear they are struggling in the sack. Ethan has now cheated on Harper, his wife, and he has been introduced to the hardcore spending and partying Cameron is used to. There is no doubt his personality and his marriage are in for a real change. Then, Beatrice Grano plays Mia, the singer. Mia is quite the contrast to Lucia, her over-the-top counterpart. Mia is fascinating, and she brings some real intrigue to the lavish resort. As a young Italian woman who wants to sing professionally, Mia struggles to find work. Lucia, her friend, encourages her to take up work. Mia doesn't fall for the suggestion at once, but she does become intrigued by the possible financial benefits such work at a high-end resort could mean for her. She's headed down a corruption arc, and this should make her one of the more interesting characters to watch this season. Valentina manages the hotel. Anyone would find it difficult to follow in Armand's footsteps, but Valentina is equally high-strung, and she has done a magnificent job thus far. She has snippy conversations in Italian and deals with her entitled guests in proper English. Valentina is clearly not someone to be messed with. There are glimpses of a warm, longing, sad character beneath this judgmental and powerful exterior, though. This is especially clear in her interactions with younger colleagues like Isabella, or when she enjoys lunch alone with the Wildcats outside the resort. To find out more about the essential millennial, Portia, keep watching. That's coming up. Also, Harper Spiller is masterfully portrayed by Aubrey Plaza. From the moment this season started, Harper seemed like the one character most likely to snap before the season's end. She's a complete stick in the mud at the beginning. She judges all her travel companions, and it seems she has a deep resentment for their wealth and happiness. In episode 3, she finally begins to release some of her judgmental inclinations, and this is probably because of her unexpected bond with Daphne. This happens when they start discussing the role of women in a world defined by powerful, wealthy men. Harper's paranoia also grows, and she is deeply nervous about the state of her own marriage. She will probably not end up as a corpse by the end, but the likelihood is there that she may be one of the killers. Albie Di Grasso is the youngest member of the Di Grasso family. He's also the most interesting. He disavowed everything his grandfather and father represent. He has open discussions about gender constructs and doesn't have bad relationships with women. His open-mindedness is something dear to him, as is his Stanford education. Beneath the surface, however, is all the potential in the world for a much darker side. This is the nice guy trope that is so emblematic of the standard misogynistic millennial. He may come across as an ally to many, but in recent interactions with Portia, for example, we can see he may well turn into a threat before the season's end. Then there's Portia. She's the most interesting millennial in season 2 and is played by Haley Lou Richardson. Portia is at a crossroads in many ways. She hates her job, and Tanya treats her like dirt every chance she gets. And she didn't want to come on this vacation. She was dragged along. Most aspects of her life are miserable. She hates Instagram culture's fakeness and desperately wants to feel something real while on this vacation in paradise. Portia remains a wild card. Her career and love life are up in the air, and both storylines have all the potential in the world for conflict. And this season will ramp up conflict in the last couple of episodes. Daphne Sullivan may seem stereotypical, but she proves there may well be more to a character than meets the eye. Up front, she seems clueless. She fits into the mold of an entitled housewife that cares for nothing beyond her wealth and immediate circle of friends and family. She doesn't watch the news, and she doesn't vote either. But as the episodes were screened, we started seeing more depth in her character. She's completely aware that she lives in a gilded cage. She goes as far as to accept her husband's philandering because it gives her the power to get what she wants. She may well become one of the most powerful characters in the series yet. As far as unanswered questions go, the mix-up with the honeymoon suite needs to be answered. Watch until the end. We'll be exploring that in a moment. Now, there are a few things that don't make sense. The White Lotus is highly entertaining, and it is well received too. But there are a few things that have viewers scratching their heads. Lonnie's disappearance is one. She was well poised to become one of the most appreciated and loved characters on the show. And then she goes and disappears after episode 1. On her first day as a staffer, she hides her pregnancy. That's how we meet her. Then she is completely absent for the rest of the season. If she gave birth and stayed in the hospital with her newborn, this would have made sense. But she had so much screen time and was such a compelling character. The way she disappeared made no sense whatsoever. Then, why does Quinn not have a bed? Excessive wealth is the common denominator of most of the characters in The White Lotus. Proof CEO Nicole Mosbacher is the richest of them all. Why is her son forced to sleep on a kitchen cot? And when Olivia kicks him out of the room and forces him to sleep under the stars on the beach, his parents still won't get him a room or bed. Maybe they're trying to drive a point home. Something about him not relying on the family's affluence. Finally, the mix-up in the honeymoon suite. When Armand is confronted in the hotel lobby by Shane about the mix-up about the honeymoon suite, it turns into a petty and vindictive power struggle. Once, at the midway point of the season, when Shane is given evidence of his mother's honeymoon suite booking, the drama should cease, and Shane should be transferred to the correct room. But Armand holds a deep grudge and continues along this path until he is trapped in a sexual imbroglio with Lucas Gage's Dylan. At that point, Shane gets the room he's paid for. Armand created his own drama, but the way he handled it really didn't make any sense. When Paula suddenly puts together a scheme to steal jewelry from the Mosbachers, one of the less convincing character arcs in the series commences. Her intentions may be honorable, but her motives come straight out of the blue and thoroughly fail the believability test. This question is there to be answered in the rest of the season. Remember, she is sweet-natured, and she is warm in the true sense of the word. This turn of events breaks the consistency of the character. And that, folks, is how we end this video. Hit follow, like, and subscribe, and watch out for our next contribution.